Okay, so we are now going to discuss on the Flutter Interactivity. So when you say interactivity, these are the widgets that we are going to use when our app is going to interact with the user. Okay, so there are a lot of widgets that we could use for interaction between the user and our Flutter app. But first, we are going to discuss on the Flutter buttons. Okay, so one of the interactions users are going to make with our app are actually by tapping on any of the widgets. Okay, or in the web by clicking on buttons. Okay, so that's why we are going to have first our buttons. So what are the different types of buttons in Flutter? There are actually a lot of buttons here. So first is we have our elevated button. So elevated meaning it is a raised button. Okay, so we are going to have our old we have here our old app. We are just going to modify that so that I could give an example for the button. So I'm just going to remove all of these. Okay, from the body. So I'm just going to remove all of the contents. Okay, so we're going to concentrate on the body here. So I'm just going to have the column because what I want is I'm just going to display here the different buttons. Okay, so save and reload. Okay, so first is we are going to have our elevated button. Oops, wait. Okay, so with my code here, so we have elevated button. Then we're going to have the child for the text, and what is very important here actually is we have the onPressed method. Okay, so this onPressed method is going to handle whatever action that we are going to create or we're going to make when the button has been pressed. Okay, so we're going to have here our elevated button. Okay, elevated buttons. As you can see here, by default, it gives us we have the onPressed method. So I'm just going to have first a blank anonymous function. Okay, then for the child, I'm just going to have here a text that says I'm just going to have the label elevated button. Okay, then save it there, then reload. So you could see here our elevated button. Okay, so it is elevated as you can see here. It has an elevation of with color gray. Okay, so it looks like it is elevated. Okay, so how are we going to style our elevated button? Okay, so here we are going to have the property style. Now style, then I'm just going to use here an elevated button. Okay, elevated button that style from. Okay, so we have here the style from property. So we could set here for the foreground, background, and so on. Okay, so first is I'm going to have the background color. I'm going to set the background color as colors that I'm going to have blue. Save and reload. Okay, so we have there our background color. Then we also have foreground color, colors that I'm going to use white. Save and reload. Okay, so you can see here we have white. Now, how about if ever I'm going to change the shape? Now, by default, as you can see here, it is a rounded button. Okay, so I'm going to change the shape of the button. So I'm here. Okay, so I'm here, our shape. So I'm going to have, so there are two ways. We could have beveled rectangular border. Okay, so I'm just going to have this one first. Okay, then save, then reload. So as you can see, it is now rectangular. By the way, I'm just going to center our buttons so that you can see it clearly. Wrap it with center. Okay, save and reload. Okay, so you can see it there now. We have rectangular. By the way, I'm going to set the main axis to main axis alignment that center. Okay, so you could see her rectangular. Okay, so we could actually also set the border radius that we have circular with a radius. Let us say, how about let us try first 10. Save, then reload. Okay, so beveled. So as you can see here, it has some angles we have here. So we could change this one into 5. Okay, so then another value actually for our shape, just going to comment out this one here, is we are going to have still the circular one. Okay, shape, then we're going to have the rounded rectangle border. Okay, then I'm going to have the default and reload. Okay, so as you can see, same rectangular border. Okay, so if ever we are going to change the edge here, so we're going to have also our border radius. Then border radius that circular, let us say 5. Oops, that circular. Okay, save. Oops. And reload. Okay, so you can see there now, it is now rounded. So if you want to have a bigger value here, so you can see now the changes, it is now more circular. Okay, so you could play actually with the values on our style here. Okay, then actually you could also use our text style for our text. Okay, so then we have here on our onPressed, so we could just have here a print command, then you click save. So this is the action that we have now. It is just going to print actually the text. You click the elevated button when this one is being clicked. Okay, so reload, then click. You can see here, you click the elevated button. In our upcoming videos, we're going to have some more commands. We're going to leave print, then we're going to have other commands as an action when the user pressed on the button. Okay, so that's for our elevated button. So next is we are going to have the outline button. Shape. Okay, so we have an outlined button. Okay, it is a button with an outlined border. So as you can see here, we have the same basic properties with our elevated button. So we have the child as the text, then we have the onPressed method. Okay, I'm just going to copy this one, then have it here. Save, then reload. Okay, so you can see here our outlined buttons. I'm just going to create a sized box. Then okay, so here our outlined button. So how are we going to style our outlined button? So I'm just so that we are going to go fast. So I'm just going to copy. Anyway, these are the same with our the elevated button. Okay, so for the style, by the way, from my reference, as you can see here, I used here primary, but it says primary is deprecated. So what are we to use now is we're going to use foreground color. Okay, foreground color. Okay, and save, then reload. Okay, and actually we for the sides, as you can see here, we have another property side. Then we could change the color. Okay, and if ever you want to have a background, so we could use also here a background color, colors that let us say, okay, blue. Let us try blue. Save and reload. Okay, so maybe we are going to change the forecolor to white. Then the same with the onPressed, we are going to have print outline button. Oops. Okay, save, reload. So it's there, then click. So you can see here, you click the outlined button. Okay, so next is we have our text button. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this. Then after the outline button, I'm going to have here a size box of height 10. Then we have our text button. Save, reload. So this is now our text button. So as you can see here, once I'm going to position or point my mouse pointer, it changes the pointer to the hand icon. Okay, so meaning it is clickable. Okay, so how are we going to style that? We could actually use the text button that style from, or you could just change the style with our text here. Okay, so I'm just going to follow the styling that we have here with our text button. After the onPressed, then the primary should be foreground color. Okay, a bit there. So as you could see here, with our, it has the text button style, we have the text style property. Same text style that we have with our text widget. Okay, so you can have here the font weight, the font color, and so on. Okay, then for the onPressed, so I'm going to have just the command print. You click save and reload. Click. So up here, you click the text button. Okay. So the last button that we're going to have, although we have already, by the way, we already done with our icon button, but I'm just going to add an icon button in this video. In our previous video, we have already discussed here. This is an icon button. Okay, but I'm just going to include it here. Okay, the icon button. Then I'm going to have a sized box. With the height of 10. Save and reload. Okay, so I have here now our star. So actually we could also change our star with some styles. Okay, so we're just going to have our icon here, then comma, we could change the color. Colors, let us say yellow. And I could also change the size into, let us say, 50. Save, reload, save it there. Okay, and we are going to have the method the icon button. Reload. So there, it's now bigger than yellow in color, and when I click on the icon button, it is going to display in my console. We have you click the icon button. So these are the basic buttons with Flutter. By the way, I'm just going to remove the background for the outline button, because if ever we're going to have a background for the outline button, they are now the same with the elevated buttons. I'm just going to remove the background color, save and reload. Okay, so I'm just going to change the foreground into red. Save, reload. Okay. So every time that I'm going to click on these, they are going to just print, as of now, print only that you click the said button. So you can see it here on our terminal. Click, click, click. Okay. So aside from these buttons, okay, so you have button, size box, text, and icon. So we'll be there. Now, I'm just going to give you the basic on how are we going to use the gesture detector. For example, if ever that we want to have an image, I'm just going to have first the image here, that asset. then assets slash images slash bike.jpg, then the width 100 and the height 100. Oops. Image. Okay, I guess we have no comma there. Then reload. Okay, so I have here an image. Okay, what I want is that if ever the user tap or click on this button, it could detect that event, then it is going to do something. Okay, so in that case, we are going to use a gesture detector. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to click here. Okay, take note, this is a shortcut. So, by the way, I'm not going to use the shortcut. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have the gesture detector. Okay, gesture detector, then it has a child property. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have the image as the child. Okay, so I'm going to cut, then paste it there. Okay, then save. So as you can see, I have now my image as a child of the gesture detector. But again, it is better if ever you're going to have, it would be faster if ever we're going to use the shortcut here, wrap with widget. Okay, now if ever I'm going to save this one and reload, okay, and click, it seems it has not, there were no actually changes that happened. Okay, why? It is because the image here is being displayed, and when I click on this or when I tap on this, nothing has been done. Okay, so that is why we are going to have here, we have a lot of properties or methods of the gesture detector. Just type on and you could see here a lot of property or methods. Okay, so I'm just going to have the on tap method, tap or click. Okay, so that could be detected by the on tap method. Okay, so what I'm going to have here is, again, I'm going to assign an anonymous function. Okay, and I'm just going to print you click the image. Take note, this is not an image button, but it is an ordinary image, then wrap with a gesture detector. So save. Oops, it must be a semicolon. Okay, save, then reload. Okay, as I'm going to click on the image, so you could see here, you click the image. So now the image can now detect if ever I'm going to click on it. Okay, how about if ever I'm going to have double click? Okay, so we have here on double tap. Okay, again a blank anonymous function, then with a command print, then double click or double tap, then semicolon. Save and reload. So one click. Okay, so you click the image, double click, so you can see there you double clicked the image. And by the way, last one here, on long press. Okay, so long press. I'm just going to copy this. Okay. I'm just gonna long press the image. Okay. So long press meaning I'm going to click on the image, that it would take some maybe 1 second or 2 seconds before I'm going to release my mouse. So therefore that is long press with the mouse. Okay. Reload. Click, double click, long press. Okay, save it there. Okay, so these are the 3 common methods of the gesture detector. Okay, so I just included now in my discussion with the buttons. Okay, and on upcoming videos we're going to have a separate or another discussion for the other methods of the gesture detector. So as of now, for the interactivity purposes, we have the elevated button, the outline button, the text button, and the icon button and the gesture detector. And by the way, this is also a button. Okay, so this is now our floating action button. Click here. So as you can see, it responded with you click the floating action button. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have here now 6 buttons that we could use when we want to interact with our user. Okay. Elevated, outlined, the text, the icon, and we have our gesture detector. Okay, so on our next videos would be some more widgets that we could use for interactivity. Okay, so that's all for today, and I'll see you on the next video.